because we were very fortunate to have with us today one of the top advocates for small business in Washington, D.C. Karen Kerrigan has been leading the organization since its inception in 1993, and 1993, 1994 is when it came about, and now 100,000 members strong across the country. Karen has been in the fight for small business since then and before. She's a native of New York, went to State University of New York in Cortland, where she played tennis, and she made her way through international relations in Washington, D.C., and held a number of positions inside different organizations in Washington before she took the helm at what was then the Small Business Survival Committee, which you might remember has the Small Business Survival Index that comes out every year, and we see how Iowa measures up compared to our neighboring states and the rest of the country. And just a few years ago, recognizing the entrepreneurial spirit of its members, they changed the name and expanded the mission of the organization to be the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council. So Karen is one of these individuals who sees the front line. She talks to her members. She travels the globe and helps other struggling and new economies in the former Soviet states and in the Middle East set up their small business regulatory environment and help small businesses get going from that policy perspective, as well as in Washington, D.C., where she is on any given week testifying before Congress on matters of energy, of technology, of taxes, regulatory environment. So we're very fortunate to have her with us today to share her big picture perspective on small business and technology. And then right immediately following her remarks, we're going to move to a panel discussion where we'll have the question and answer period from the audience, where you'll kind of drive the agenda from there. So with that, I'd like to introduce Karen Kerrigan.
Well, thank you very much, John, for that kind introduction. We've worked for over a decade now. Time flies when you're having fun, and certainly technology has changed so much during that time. I remember how we communicated in the early days to how we communicate now, and I really appreciate being here and being in Des Moines. It's I feel like you saved me from a horrible week in Washington. A lot is going on right now in the nation's capital that's impacting obviously the economy and the business sector. The president unveiled his budget this week, and gosh, I mean, there's fights already. I think the era of bipartisanship is officially over this week because of the budget, and
Now.
There we go. And of course, there's continuing this week. They're looking at the continuing resolution and funding the government, because there wasn't a budget last year, and I think there are now officially over 250 amendments to that continuing resolution, and they only got through number 4 or 5 when I left. So, can you hear me?
I think we're struggling in the back. I need to point it to your mouth. Sorry about that.
How are we doing? Technology.
Exactly.
Technology.
I think push the button again.
We'll get there. How about now?
It's on red.
Now.
That's better.
So red means...
Red means go?
Yeah. When you're testifying before Congress, this means shut up or you get the hook. Right? You got the green, the yellow, and then you got the red. You're out of there. So anyway, it's a real pleasure to be here, and I met with a few people this morning, some entrepreneurs, and it's just great to see this innovative spirit in this part of the country. And as John said, I do meet with business owners all over the country, all over the world, and it's really the best part of my job. So thanks for having me. As John mentioned, I'm president of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council. We have 100,000 members throughout the country, and we are dedicated to protecting small business and promoting entrepreneurship. We've worked on policy in Washington since 1994, so we certainly have seen it all with respect to what government has done and what it has not done to enable the growth and the success of our entrepreneurial sector, our innovators, and our nation's job creators. I recall back in the early 90s when I first started that the word innovation was rarely used by our elected officials or by the government policy people in Washington, but now it really seems to be the it word of 2011. Everyone's talking about the innovation agenda and innovators. So certainly it is the it word, and particularly so for President Obama. Can you hear me okay?
Not really.
It faded. It faded.
I'm not doing anything other than just standing here. It is going off by itself. All my technology equipment's going over there, so I'm not. I'll continue to watch this, and if it goes off, someone let me know, and I'll turn it back on again. It's going on and off. So. Yeah, it could be as easy, as simple as that. All right, so I'll try to talk louder. As I was saying, the innovation word has become the it word now, and I think particularly so for President Obama and the administration. It has come to define their policy initiatives, particularly as they focus on entrepreneurship and high growth entrepreneurship. They really are putting a lot of government programs, money, the weight of the Small Business Administration, the weight of the Department of Commerce behind high growth enterprises, and specifically technology companies and those that are in the clean technology arena. And with the hope being that if there is this focus in this sector, that it will create more jobs with these high growth businesses, and it will create and it lead to more innovation. Innovation in the clean technology area that we can export. So there is that focus. But as we know, the entrepreneurship drives innovation. Entrepreneurship across many industries. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, this is not going to bother me. It's going to be in my head the whole time that I'm talking, but I'll just continue. I'm sorry. Entrepreneurship is driven by innovation, doing the next big thing, finding a new way to do things, being faster, more efficient, more cost effective, filling the needs of the marketplace, finding solutions to problems. And this is what drives the U.S. economy and why we lead the world. It is why other nations look to the U.S. In terms of mimicking our business practices and adopting policies that we've implemented to encourage entrepreneurship and to encourage private sector investment. And I do have to say that in my many travels across the world and working with the business community and the economic policy leaders in various countries, from Kazakhstan to India, from the Mideast and North Africa to Eastern Europe, that these nations are working very, very hard to adopt the smart things that we do. And the pace of change really is quite remarkable. They are listening to business, they are listening to CEOs who are visiting their countries, they are listening to experts and making changes to attract investment, reducing and streamlining regulations, cutting taxes, simplifying the tax code, securing property rights, snuffing out corruption, essentially rolling out the red carpet for private sector investment. This is what American business is up against, and why, again, we're glad to see President Obama now talking about the need for the U.S. to be the best place in the world to do business. Because, as you know, the last few years have just been very, very difficult for American business, particularly our small business sector. But thankfully, things are getting better. It does appear that the business outlook has improved somewhat, but uncertainties do remain. And these uncertainties are on the economic front. I mean, there's concerns about access to capital and credit moving forward, what consumer demand will be, where inflation is going over the next year. And also, it is compounded by uncertainties that are happening from policies in Washington. Last week, I was up on Capitol Hill testifying before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. I joined several business leaders as well as 5 or 10 business owners and entrepreneurs who talked about the impediments to investment and to job creation, specifically focusing on regulations that were hampering businesses moving forward and moving forward in a confident way. And the challenges are quite numerous. I mean, when you're looking at a lot of regulations right now that are currently moving through the pipeline in Washington. And certainly there's the health care and the financial overhaul laws that are being enacted through the regulatory process. So business owners have concerns about costs. What does it mean for their business? I mean, how much is healthcare going to cost them? Is the financial overhaul law, what does that mean for the costs, the availability of capital and credit, as well as the cost of capital and credit? What they're hearing from their bankers, what they're hearing from the financial service industries, is that their costs are going to continue to go up. So this continues to be a major concern. There are also concerns about the cost of energy and regulations that are happening up at the EPA and other things happening in other agencies that are, pulling back on our ability to explore in this country. So energy costs continue to be a problem, and then or a concern. And then, of course, there's the whole issue of taxes and where they're going. We know we got a 2-year extension, of tax relief, both capital gains, dividends, personal income taxes. But again, business owners have concerns about, will their taxes go up? Is there going to be Section 179 expensing available in the next couple of years that allows them to invest in technology, invest in new equipment? So there continues to be a lot of uncertainties that exist out there. But the good news that came out of this committee, after all the business owners were talking about the challenges and their concerns, is that when they were engaging with the committee members and talking with them about their concerns, they said the good news was technology. I mean, really having access to technology and technology solutions allowed for many of them to survive the deepest and the darkest parts of the recession, particularly for those in the manufacturing sector, that they turn to technology and that they turn to technology solutions as a way to cut costs, to operate their businesses more efficiently, to do marketing, to find new markets. So technology was the good news that came out of that hearing.